welcome back to yet again another Percy Jackson Season 2 review. I'm going to be reviewing episode 5. That's right, just episode 5. I know I've done 2 before, but as I said in the last one, just with school, I'm kind of having to force myself to only record. I really only am having time to watch one episode and then just record one. So yeah, you guys are gonna get more videos from me, so that's good. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this. So we start off with we see Percy on going unconscious recaps, which I was wondering, okay, are we going into a dream now? Because I was hearing we were hearing like voiceover over there and whatnot. So I was like, okay, are they having Percy enter into a dream to communicate with Grover again? No, it's just remembering the last things he heard before he passed out, and of course, I was wondering, like, where he is, what is this place, and Buffy explains that she hasn't had to help out yet, and of course we find out that they are in CC Spas and Resort. Of course, we get to see Hilla. We actually get to see her, which, is surprising. I was not expecting to see her because just in case they didn't want, just in case they because if you read Heroes of Olympus, they show up. Hilla and her sister Raina show up in the second Heroes of Olympus book, and we find out they were on the island. Now, granted, time has passed, so I was wondering, okay, are they gonna... So people were wondering, including me, if we were even gonna see Hilla. They have decided to show us Hill. They have not decided to show us her sister Raina, which makes sense, at least to me, because Hill, I'm assuming at this point Hill is probably a full-blown woman, and so you're not really gonna the noticeable, oh, this person has really aged up. If they do film a live action Heroes of Olympus or even touch it, maybe they'll just do it animated. Who's to say? But if they are doing a live action, but if they do end up doing a live action, an adaptation of the Heroes of Olympus series, it's not going to be as noticeable with her compared to other characters like Percy Jackson and Nico and whatnot. Because she'll already be an adult. Well, and yeah, she's talking to Percy Jackson and Beth. She tells them, oh, yeah, you're the only ones we found. So, of course, Percy and Beth takes it. And she seems like she really cares about their feelings, which was not something I was expecting. Or at least she's good enough to pretend that she, cares about their feelings. So, there's that. And of course, because Percy is sad because, Jason is, sorry, not Jason, Tyson is dead, Anna was like, okay, I'll go search around. I'm like, no, don't split up now. Are you insane? Like, girl, that's bad. Of course, Percy goes with her, and he'll, explain more about the spa. And then we get introduced to this character named Savros, and mentioning about going to deal with the sirens. And I was wondering what on earth is going on. on, and they've apparently decided to put CC's spa right next to the sirens for this episode, which I'm which if this was episode 6, I would understand that. But this is episode 5, and I'm here wondering, like, what on earth are they going to be covering for episode 8? Because episode 6, obviously, it's going to be, they're going to be getting the fleece back from Polyphemus dealing with them. And then episode 7, I was like, and then we've got 2 more episodes to get the fleece back? Like, I'm very confused by the pacing here. Like, if there's more things that I don't, like, I suppose it's possible that there's more things that, like, I just don't remember happening in the book. But, like, I'm fairly certain it's like, oh yeah, let's get the fleece Polyphemus. But after defeating the sirens, it's like, get the fleece from Polyphemus, we've done that, then we head back, we deal with Fluke, and then we go back to camp and everything's better. Or like, that feels like something you could easily do. Like, you do the Polyphemus stuff in one episode, and then you deal with the getting back to camp and saving it in episode 7. Like, I don't, like, do you see why I'm confused what episode 8 is gonna cover here? Here, like, pacing wise. I mean, it's like, pacing wise, like, what else is there for them to cover? Like, are we getting, like, more flashbacks or something? Like, I really just don't know. No, but yeah, I will say the designs for the sirens are quite interesting, and I gotta say I'm really glad that they didn't get the sirens mermaids, because there is nothing that bugs me more than people just combining sirens and mermaids into one thing. Like, sirens and mermaids are 2 different things, guys. They are not. Like sirens are the same, and also sirens and harpies are also 2 different things. Like, this, like, rock thing, it's a great differentiality. They're clearly not harpies, and they're clearly not mermaids either. There's something else entirely, and that's what I like. But yeah, Cersei is like, oh yes, I help people get past the sirens now, blah blah blah, things like that. So I was wondering, like, does Cersei not turn the men into guinea pigs? Like, why is she so helpful? I was like, is this, like, is she pretending to be out? Like, this just felt very, like, it's just very different from the books. Not, and, to which I was wondering, like, what's Cece's Cersei's vibe is just very different from the books, that I was just wondering what her vibe's going on. Here, we cut to Clarice, who's landed somewhere, to which I was wondering, where has she landed? And apparently, she's already on the island. And so I was surprised. Again, I was like, this is episode 5. We're moving through quickly. Like, again, I'm very surprised by how things were going. And of course, however, she immediately gets captured, which, as a result, she is reunited with Grover, which is always nice to see him back. And of course, Grover. I love her response to seeing Grover in a dress. It is great. Like, I love how everyone in the show, I love how she doesn't make fun of the dress, which is something. Because that's what I fully expected her to do, was to make fun of the dress, but instead, she goes, oh yeah, great dress, and that's it. Like, I love it. Yeah, as a result, this was heartbreaking to see because she has to explain, yeah, Percy and Annabeth are dead, because that's what she thinks. Like, she's like, oh yeah, Percy, Annabeth, they're dead. We're not, going to, they're not coming back. Grover's like, no, I have this empathy link, they're not dead, which it's great. I'm glad he has such faith in them. It's great. And Grover and Clarice, have come up with a escape plan of using rope to climb out into the hole, to which I was like, oh yes, can't wait to see this escape attempt go wrong. And of course we go back to the spa, which Annabeth and Percy are now in like these ancient Greek style outfits, and they look amazing. They are great, fantastic. Like, and then of course they go to Cece's office, to which I was like, oh, there's the guinea pigs, and then I'm later corrected, oh wait, no, they're chinchillas. And of course, this is where Annabeth realizes, oh, you're Cersei, you're doing a bad job of hiding it. She's like, oh, I'm not hiding I'm Cersei, but I'm here to help everyone. Which I'm wondering, like, okay, is she being honest? Is this a trick? What's going on here? Because, again, this is just so different from the book. Not that this isn't wrong. Again, there's been changes to the series that I've liked and enjoyed so far. Like, the changes they've done here has been really good. Good so far compared to some of the major changes in season 1. Like, episode 3 was just terrible. And also how they got Percy out of the school was also badly done, but this was actually good. But of course, she's like, here, this mural will help show your guys, fatal flaws and whatnot. Which I was like, okay, is she gonna show Percy his fatal flaw, and that's how she turns into a guinea pig or something? He turns into a chinchilla / guinea pig, like I was trying to fuse what it is. And this is where Percy learns his fatal flaw, which is interesting. Because he doesn't learn it until book 3, so this is some interesting. We're getting earlier character development with Percy, which is going to be interesting. Because before with Percy, I think the first 2 books with Percy, it really was mostly just him trying to figure out the world. Like that. World and the rules, things of that nature. Those really what were the first 2 books were about. About him adjusting to the world of Camp Half. But book 3 is really when he starts to come into his own. I think it's also kind of where Rick sort of I think it's also where we can kind of see Rick sort of deviating from books, especially with book 1, you can tell it a little bit with book 2, but like books 1 and 2, you can very clearly tell, like, yes, here, yes, and then here's where you can really tell that's a bedtime story, where, okay, here's what Percy Jackson and his friends are doing tonight. We'll end it there, sort of thing. Book 3 is where you can clearly feel this is more of a novel rather than just a collection of bedtime stories. Not that there's anything wrong with the first 2 books. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but you can definitely tell. There's a change in tone from book 3 to from books 1 and 2. In their tone alone. And so I think they're trying to introduce some of that tone earlier, which is from earlier things, which is really interesting to see. And of course, Percy storms out. He, just panicked, struggling, dealing with it. And of course, him and Annabeth are talking, and Percy just admits that he would burn Olympus for her. Like, let's go! Yes, we get more Percy content. This is what I'm here for. Let's go. Like, say no more, I'm here for it, you sold me. Percy is just so worried about his human side of like, oh, what if I'm too human unless, like demigod, unless God, what if that's what causes to destroy the world? And I'm going here like, Percy, I'm over here going, look, Percy, being human is good. That's how you learn from your mistakes. Just ask Hermes. Like, he'll tell you that. Like, trust me, you want your human side. And of course, we jump back to Clarice. We have her going first, and, first climbing up through the hole. It's unable to hold her weight, though, so she ends up falling. At this point, the Cyclops comes back. Clarice hides under the cart. However, Grover has forgotten to cover up his face, to which I was like, Grover! And, of course, this is where he, finds out. But he's like, oh yeah, you're not a Cyclops, ha ha ha. You're not a Cyclops, you lied for me, and of course, it captures Grover. Of course, at this point, we cut back to Circe's island once again, where Percy has realized that, Circe is helping people out by giving them the beeswax so they can overcome their siren, just so that way they're not bummed out and don't believe that it's impossible. Or that it's tricked. And the actress for Circe, they did a fantastic job casting her. And they do go with this interesting twist for the Circe story. She stuck helping people and they keep leaving her behind, and she just wants to keep people with her forever. Which, this is an interesting twist, and they seem to be making at least some of the villains a bit more sympathetic than the books are doing it, which I'm curious as to why they are doing that, because they did it with Medusa, which, no offense to anyone, but they just did a bad job with Medusa. It just didn't make sense, and now they've done it with Circe, and while it is a little bit weird, weird, and well, I still weird, and it's not like there's a slight disconnect for me. I will say this version does work, making Cersei more sympathetic, like, and going, oh yes, I imprison people here who want to. I imprison people near my island because I'm lonely and don't want people to leave. That's honestly, that's not a bad villainous motivation. You make her sympathetic, but she's still doing bad things. And this is a good way of doing it. They just did a terrible job with Medusa. Like there's a like again, as I said, there is a reason why the Medusa episode in season 1 is the worst episode of that season. In them changing Medusa to make her sympathetic, but it not working out is one of those reasons. Of course, she and Percy make a deal. She's like, Percy's like, here, help Annabeth, keep me here, have her get away from the sirens. And she's like, okay, I won't tell anyone about it. And she's like, okay. And as a result, she changes him into magic because she's like, oh, if I just help Annabeth automatically and she hasn't had one lesson, then people are going to get suspicious, and I can't have that. Which, yeah, isn't, which makes me, which if they're going with, oh, everyone here is a demigod, everyone here, which I feel like they should have said, like, not everyone's here is a demigod, because, in one of the recent books that came out, Percy Jackson, the Triple-Headed Goddess, which I know the movies aren't exactly to the show, but it's like, again, this is more self-contradicting. Like, if someone watches the first 2 seasons and then they're able to plow through, all the Percy Jackson backlog, and they get to, or let's just say, you know what, that this person is able to or they've watched all let's just say, for brevity's sake, like, they don't ever continue onto any of the other series. They only do Percy Jackson. I'm aware that they've rumored about doing a King Chronicles series. That's something else to talk about. But they mention, but let's say that someone finishes the show, they want to read all other Rick Rior and stuff, and they eventually get to that book. Well, in that book, it's revealed that there were nymphs that worked for Cersei's spa. So, like, if they get to that, they're gonna be like, oh, well, that contradicts the show, which is gonna cause problems. I get what they were probably trying to go with, like, oh yeah, we're all part of your world, of, like, we're all, like, basically we're all members of the Greek mythology world, like, one way or another, but I feel like they could have done that better than just saying, oh yeah, we're all demigods here, because that's just not the case. But yeah, when she does change, Percy Jackson, she puts him in a cage, and we get subtitles for what Edward is saying, which I find really cool. Well, of course, we switch back to Grover and Clarice, for Clarice wants to help, and I absolutely love how, like, Clarice is just down in the dumps, so, like, trying to sit, like, just been like, oh, this is the end of my class, like, she's just very negative, like, no, oh, this is where I die, things of that nature. And it's just, it's not, it's sad. And it seems at first like Grover is, helping Clarice believe in herself again. And then, oh, wait, right, no. Cyclops can mimic. It was Polyphemus tricking Clarice. Grover had by using Grover's voice. And then we find out that Polyphemus is working for Luke, which is a very interesting twist I was not expecting at all. But yeah, this was a fun twist. Yeah. We of course at this point cut back to Percy and Annabeth, where Annabeth comes into the office and is like, "Okay, I have a plan. Percy and I are leaving. Where's Percy?" To where she explains like this idea of like, "Oh yeah, pulley systems. It will." We're like, "Oh, we'll tie ourselves up to the mast." Yada yada sort of thing. Like she goes more depth into this plan. And during this, Percy, while a guinea pig, is able to use powers, his water powers in this form. Which, granted, this lets Annabeth know who he is, but this seems like a very bad mistake on your part, Cersei. You you could imagine if you had captured a son of Zeus, and now suddenly they could strike you with lightning. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Of course, Annabeth, uncaps the vitamins and is able to use them to change them. Percy Jackson, and apparently, Percy and Blackbeard have hit it off, and they're now friends. And so they don't even end up stealing his ship. They steal some dinky old thing, which is cool. Well, oh, and also one other thing. So I forgot to mention this. Anna says that apparently Camp Half-Blood told her what her fatal flaw was. They graded on that, which, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Well, it feels like that's just no fun. Annabeth doesn't get to explore and discover her fatal flaw like Percy did. And that was one of the great things about the book, despite us not seeing it from Annabeth, not being in Annabeth's headspace. I mean, we kind of were, because Percy also kind of saw what she saw, but still, Annabeth, us learning Annabeth's fatal flaw the same time that she did was really cool. We felt like we learned more about Annabeth's fatal flaw. Her just knowing it takes away us discovering it with her. And I think it just would have been better if, she had discovered it on her own. Heck, even if even if Annabeth discovered her fatal flaw the same way Percy did, I would have been fine with that. But this is just, it's not the same impact as it had. They've done, and here's the thing, they've done such a good job with working in the exposition job, making it not feel exposition-y this season. That's a step up from season 1. But they completely botched it with Annabeth's fatal flaw going, yeah, I already knew what my fatal flaw has, and I haven't done anything to change it. Of course, but yeah, that's the mini rant aside. But yeah, we do see Cersei observing it, to which I was thinking, oh, so what's gonna, and of course she's watching this while Annabeth is tying Percy up, and of course we see the sign up as their precious sign. So what I was thinking at first was so Annabeth won't be able to get the ears waxed in time. That's going to be the failure, and then no, Percy just not Percy, sorry, Cersei just takes the beeswax jar back, uses her magic, so that's out of the picture. So it's just so Annabeth is just yes, being her stubborn old self, letting her pride kick in once again, and yeah, she is lured by the sirens. And here's an interesting change. We first see her friends like trying to talk things out, talk this through, which I mean we do kind of see that in the books. She sees her parents back together and a world that she's rebuilt. And then also, Luke is with her as he's joined sides again. So they've kept the Luke's joined sides thing. I do hope that they'll still show they'll still show somewhere in the show that she's an architect, because that's I know it's not a personality. I don't know. I suppose, I don't know if people would consider your interest like part of your personality or whatnot, but your interests are what make you you. And by taking Annabeth's interest in architecture away from her, that's no longer Annabeth. Or you've taken away at least a crucial part of Annabeth's character. So I'm hoping starting season 3, we can see more of Annabeth enjoying architecture. I'm really hoping we can see more of that aspiration come in. Especially if they manage to get season 5 where she becomes the builder of Olympus. So if they don't do that reward, if they give that to reward and they haven't teased that or shown that she likes archaeology or architecture or designs that much, it's not gonna hit like it did in the books. But yeah, she has zero hesitation in Sam, Percy, or Luke. Of course, the Grover or Simon kind of manages to get a jump scare on her, and it falls on her back, and then you see this figure behind the siren, which I thought, oh cool, Percy's finally here. No, it's this random woman that did it, which I was wondering, is this Annabeth's mom? And yeah, it is. And she seems to be impressed by this. I was like, oh, this is a nice bonding interaction, and oh, it's a siren's trick. But Percy manages to come save her, and Percy, you took your sweet time to get here. If you had been a second, if you had come a second later, Annabeth would be dead by now. Now, of course, Annabeth and Percy are back on the boat. Annabeth is telling Percy what she saw, and I love how Percy focuses on the fact that Annabeth wants the approval of her mother. And he's like, yeah, no, that's totally natural. You don't have anyone to blame but yourself. And I just love that, especially because earlier in the episode, he overheard Annabeth giving a speech of he's about how jealous Annabeth is about his relationship with his mom. She wished she had that, yada yada, and it's great. I love it. I also love them realizing that, oh yeah, we could have escaped without each other, and it's just great. I love how we're seeing more of their teamwork coming together. There, and that is where the episode ends. So yeah, next, because they do arrive at the island of Polyphemus. So yeah, very curious in seeing like what episode 7 and 8 are going to be like, because the plot of episode 6 is very obvious. I'm just curious, like, what the others are going to be, but yeah. Until next time.